Hello, good morning, and welcome. It's Tuesday, the 30th of November, 2021, and we are back with this, my video review of Tesla's full self-driving beta. That's FSD beta. What it is, it's 4 days worth of test drives. So I had a total of nearly 4 hours of footage that I then had to sort of whittle down into something somewhat bite-sized. And so what we've got coming up is, I think, something about 40 minutes long or so, give or take. And yeah, so it's 4 different test drive videos. The first 3 are with FSD version 10.3.1. The fourth one is 10.4. I hesitated for a moment because I thought, didn't I do a video of 10.5? No, I didn't. I did end up getting the 10.5 update shortly before finalizing the edit to this video, but, well, without giving too much of a spoiler on all this, let's just say I didn't think it made sense to actually bother doing a video with 10.5. Yeah, so I don't think this video review is going to go quite how you would imagine. Obviously, I haven't really made it much of a secret over the years that I am indeed quite a Tesla fan. Obviously, my wife and I, we own a Tesla Model Y for over a year now, pushing 30,000 miles on that car. I did, obviously, my really huge Tesla Model Y review. Let's see, quite a few months ago. And I also wrote a very long article complimenting that video review, which, by the way, if you haven't watched it, give it a listen. I'll drop the link up here, somewhere here, or maybe down here. I don't know where you're going to see it in the YouTube screen. But yeah, so on the other hand, I've also been remarkably outspoken and critical when appropriate, when necessary, about all things Tesla and Elon. And I think most importantly, going into this video review, because everything surrounding FSD beta is so contentious, so it's this really polarizing thing that is effectively dividing the Tesla fanboys, unfortunately, from those who are supposedly not, which I think is completely absurd, because I think that if you are a fan of Tesla, then frankly, you should be even more critical when things go wrong because you want them to succeed. And in my case, it's especially so since I am, and as I disclose at least once or twice during the video, I am a very long Tesla shareholder. So well, on the one hand, there are folks who would say, oh, I'm therefore totally biased and my review can't count for anything. To which I shall say, just have a listen, or rather have a watch. Because as you'll see, I mean what I say. I think that those of us who are Tesla fans, and indeed those of us who are long-term shareholders, actually have a very strong incentive to be very honest, to be very critical, because we need Tesla to do well, or at least we want them to do well. So yeah, you can imagine my surprise, or maybe not so much of a surprise, when I started tweeting some of my initial kind of first reactions to FSD beta. The amount of flack that I got from folks there, also on Reddit, was pretty mind-blowing. I've never actually blocked so many people on Twitter in my life. There's a profound there's a profound sort of repulsion to anybody saying anything remotely negative about anything Tesla whatsoever. So anyway, yeah, that's sort of my preamble to all this. Not much else to say, really. Hope you're sitting comfortably, because 40-ish minutes with me test driving the heck out of Tesla full self-driving beta 10.3.1 and 10.4 begins now. I have to say, first impressions, this is genuinely, this is not for the faint of heart. This is properly unnerving, actually, if I'm honest. So you can see that the car is properly seeing the turn. Here comes the turn. Is it going to go a bit wide? And it's gone very wide, and I'm taking over because it just didn't do a good job. It was a pretty clear bit of road. It was, it was properly open. There's no reason it should have gone so wide. So coming to the stop sign now, what's going to happen? It's going to stop properly, I guess. What is the wheel doing? I mean, look at that. That is just bloody, but okay, I'm taking over again. See, that's not good. That is not good at all. Yeah, all right, let's get going. here. We've got a freeway on-ramp coming up here. Again, I am very much at the ready to take over. And just to be clear, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm not pressing the car to do anything kind of corner case, edge case, whatever you want to call it. I am not trying to push it beyond any reasonable bounds. Okay, left turn blinker is engaged. Car is coming to a bit of a slow here. You can see the proper indicator there. Is it going to go left? No, it's not. Yeah, this is... Okay, so far, I have to say, I'm very displeased. Or, in the best case scenario, I am very not impressed. I am not even going to let the car drive at this point, because these are just horrendous conditions. So, oh, hey, it's back. What do you know? I'm going to engage it for a moment here. Let's see what happens. So this is an interesting sort of a merge, because we do have a dedicated lane. Does it see that? The answer is yes. Okay, now we've got our right turn coming up. Are you going to signal? There is a signal. Are you going to turn right? I'm taking over now because I was just coming at that turn way too quickly. Whew. Okay, again, if it sounds like I am rambling, I am. This is a lot to take in. And it is, I'm going to say it again, it's really unnerving. I'm not even going to try to engage autopilot down here at this corner, because it is, I think, a catastrophically dangerous intersection. The issue being that you can't see at all. There is virtually no visibility to the left. That's the problem.
Now turn.
I am very tempted to try it, though. How about this? If there's no cars, I'll let it try its thing. Let's see. Autopilot is on. Is it going to go? It's creeping a little bit. I am very ready to take... No, you're not going to roll through that quickly. Not a chance. That's a good way to get a ticket out here, honestly. I think the... You know, somebody on Twitter did actually tweet as much, that indeed you should change that. So why don't I go ahead and change that? We'll do chill mode. So now hopefully we won't get that issue with rolling stops. All right, let's have it go again. Here we go. And engage. I'm going to again reduce the speed down to the actual speed limit, 30. Look, the visualizations are nice and pretty, and it seems the car is indeed seeing the world, I have to say, quite accurately. At least what little I've been able to glance there. To be honest, I'm not looking there very much. But what little I do see, I do think the car is doing a fairly decent job of at least optically seeing the world pretty well. What's not so good is the way that it's actually doing the driving, and I cannot stand the twitchy steering wheel. By the way, that reminds me, if you ever saw my... All right, hang on. Here comes a traffic circle. All right, here we go. Here we go. No, the blinker is all wrong. I'm turning off. Yeah, I'm not going to want to do this. Not with this many cars around. If this seems at all familiar, that means you've seen my very first video of Tesla Model 3 with enhanced autopilot. I want to say 2 years ago, give or take. You know, for better or worse, Tesla need not worry about me keeping eyes and brain on the road, on the car, on the steering wheel, on the brake pedal. That's not happening. I am not taking any of those mental processes off the job at hand. It's just, okay, what in the hell? I'm taking over. See, the car should have gone around. I wonder if it's because I took it off chill mode. So that's possible. Let me re-engage it, actually, to be honest, and see if it will go around cars in chill mode. Again, I gotta say, the visualizations are really good. Those are confidence inspiring, because what it says to me, the driver, is the car can see what's going on. It is correctly seeing the world. Let's go ahead and engage autopilot at this point, see what happens, slow down. So the one thing that autopilot is obviously not capable of doing, and I should say I don't think any system today is able to do, obviously it's lacking that human instinct to just kind of take it easy in certain spots. Like, how does it know there's not somebody about to walk out from beside this car, for instance. As a human driver, being and actually intersections like this, yes, it's going below the speed limit, but I would have gone even more slowly through these small residential neighborhood intersections. It's the difference between a human's sort of sixth sense, as it were, and what a computer is going to do. So here we are at the stop sign now. What's going to happen? Waiting for turn. It says checking for visibility, creeping forward. Come on, go on. Hey, you know what? That was... Okay, I have to say, that was actually pretty well done. That was fairly well done indeed. I don't have anything in particular to complain about that. So, okay, +1, but only that one. Now, this is weird, because the road here actually splits into 2 lanes. I am going to take over so as not to confuse all the other drivers behind me. This is a very awkward thing, and this is sort of what I was meaning earlier when I said you need to know the local kind of the way of the road in your local community, as it were. So look, here is where the road splits up into 2 lanes, and the left lane obviously is for turning left. The right lane then is what you use to continue straight ahead. But the car has no way of knowing that back there. Only I... Did you just see that? That that pickup truck just totally had a bit of oversteer moment there. So that's the biggest problem, right? There is no possible way the computer could have known to keep right and to queue up behind the cars in the absence of any painted lane markings. But I, as a driver, obviously I know that now, having driven here before, but even prior to having driven here before, I could just sense what was going on in a way that the car obviously couldn't. And that's what's so critically missing. That is that sort of, well, I was going to say it's that sort of 0.00001%, the whole chasing of the nines, as it were, but it's not that. That's not a particularly unusual corner case at all. That's a pretty normal, conventional thing, at least here anyway, and I would say in many towns and communities where you have that sort of thing occur, where the lane just kind of splits up into 2 and it's not visible at all. So this is not a particularly unusual thing, and yet the car couldn't begin to handle it. Not a chance. Was it just me, or did the car slow down just a hint for that crosswalk? I think it did. That's good. You know, if there's a word that comes to mind which really, to me, sums up how this feels... Hang on a sec. This is very weird here. Does it know what it's doing? This is a very tricky intersection. Nope. I'm taking over. That car did not want to think that I was going to go flying into it. I think the car was about to do the right thing and, you know, properly make that left, but I was not about to give it a chance to try and screw up. I might have let it go a bit further if there were not that other car trying to make its left into my direction. What was I going to say earlier? The feeling that I have... Oh yeah, it feels like a hack job. That's the problem. Look, I think Elon is right. I think that cameras can technically do this. It's by no means capable. It's not even close to being capable of doing it safely. That's the problem. Here sign. That actually was pretty good. So, this is a bizarre sort of kind of a weird intersection. Let's see how this goes. I didn't allow it to try this yet. I mean, look at this. What the hell is that? I didn't let it do this yesterday because it's just so weird.
Turn right onto Broad Street.
Come on. Are you going or not? Well, don't bloody go now. There's a car coming. Jesus. All right, so I just slammed on the brakes because I had a feeling it was going to go, but here we go. So this is a tricky turn. Let's see how the car does here. And the answer is much wider than I would have liked. Not awful. And again, a terrible, terrible job straightening out the turn or cutting the corner or apexing, if you like. Just a terrible job reading the geometry of the lane. Okay, now there's a car merging on the left. What are you going to do? Yeah, the car has no idea what to do, actually. Yeah, again, here's an example of an extremely disconcerting exit from the freeway. No idea why the car ends up moving so far to the right. I'll frankly send that to Tesla for what it's worth. Just extremely bizarre dynamics. Really, really unnerving. Here comes a right-hand turn now. Bit tricky because there's an entry ramp here to the gas station. How does it make the turn? Look at that. That was not awful, actually. Again, not confidence inspiring, but not awful. And again, going way. Hey, there's a speed bump which it didn't see. Okay. So look, I think I said this yesterday. This is an extremely dangerous intersection because the visibility to the left is damn near zero. If there's no cars coming, I'll let it do its thing. If there are, I am not about to let it do this. Stop. No, stop. Yeah, I'm not letting it do this. Not a chance in hell. Okay, off we go. And I am, really disappointed, actually. So far, anyway. Because here's the thing, even when it has a few moments of doing things all right, like some of those turns back there, I mean, it's all right relative. It's all right relative to a world where cars can't drive themselves at all, I suppose you could say. But it's not even close to being all right for a human driver. And that's the problem. So again, I don't know why it's braking so hard, so far in advance of stop signs. But here we are. What's it going to do? And it's going to hold everybody up, and off we go. Come on, go. Are you going? Are you going? You're not going? Yeah, you're going. So that was an extremely slow, dawdling sort of stop. Look, I will go ahead, I suppose, because I know everyone's probably complaining about this. I will go ahead and set this to assertive. What have I done? Anyway, it's set to assertive now. Let's see what happens. So here comes then a traffic circle, which is a very small radius traffic circle with, I guess, 4 intersecting roads. Thankfully, it's only 4. You'll notice the lane marking is missing, and so the car is drifting a bit left towards the center. But here we go. Now we're back where we should be. So yeah, it's a tricky traffic circle because it is such a small radius. Again, thankfully, it has only 4 streets entering. Are you going? Okay, see, it slowed down way too much, and therefore I took over. Give it a bit of a push. Okay, I took over there because that was just stupid, and that's that'll do it. Yeah, no idea what that was about. Absolutely catastrophic fail right there. Yeah, so what I was trying to say was it's like it'll have these couple of moments where it does a thing. You're like, wow, that was actually pretty good. You may have heard me, I don't know, 2 or 3 times yesterday when I said that. I think once or twice today I've said it now. It's like, yeah, it's like, wow, cool, that was actually pretty well done. But compared to a baseline of 0, like, yeah, it was cool compared to not being able to do it at all. But again, if you compare it to the appropriate metric, which is like how regularly, how a normally competent human driver would have performed such a maneuver, no, it's not okay at all. In fact, I'm pretty confident that if any cop saw me driving this way, they would likely pull me over. And that's obviously the ultimate litmus test, right? I mean, if a cop's going to pull you over because of how it appears that you're driving, clearly it's just not sufficiently good. That's the problem. I don't know why it's slowing down quite so much. I suppose, you see? So okay, I don't know if you saw that, but it thought that crosswalk sign was a pedestrian, and that's just bad. I should probably mention in the video, which I've mentioned exhaustively in tweets and frankly on my podcast too, I am an extremely long holder of Tesla stock. Very, very long. Like probably longer than you would imagine. So I derive decidedly nothing from speaking poorly of full self-driving beta. It gives me no pleasure at all to say this. I desperately want this to be, I don't even want it to be perfect. I didn't expect that. but I did want it to be usably good, safe enough. And to be fair, I use regular autopilot and autopilot, navigate on autopilot. See, again, it thought that stop sign was for us. You see, it did the same thing yesterday. I mean, autopilot and navigate on autopilot, these have always worked really quite well. Actually, I use these kind of pretty much all the time in my daily driving. No complaints really. But then it's also because I think my mental expectation is a bit different. I don't expect them to be actual self-driving things or even substitutes for self-driving or even approximations of self-driving. I expect them to just be the best ADAS systems that we have today on the market, namely the best driver assistance in the form of lane keep assist and adaptive cruise control, that kind of thing. And for that purpose, it works really well. But as soon as you suddenly raise the bar of expectation, as soon as you expect it to do more than it's capable of, and make no mistake, it is definitively not capable of this, of what we're asking it. As soon as you raise that bar, you realize just what a catastrophic failure it is. And see, again here, it thinks that this is a pedestrian. Oh my goodness. Okay, I am taking control. Stop beeping at me. Yeah, this, sorry folks, this is just not cutting it. I mean, I know it's a beta, blah, 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 but I wouldn't even call it a beta at this point. This is like an alpha. You will notice that I've taken over driving because, yeah, just fatiguing and exhausting. I mean, just not cool. I'm annoyed. I'm genuinely annoyed, frustrated, disappointed. I wanted more. I wanted something better. This isn't. So again, I will reiterate something I said yesterday. The one confidence-inspiring element of all this is actually this visualization, wiggly lines notwithstanding. Hang on a sec. Nope, stop. Jesus. Okay, I can't see anything. How is the car supposed to see anything? Whoop. Nope. Okay, this is a completely blind corner because of the parked cars there. What was I saying? So, what the heck was I saying? Yeah, so the one redeeming quality here, the one confidence-inspiring element is actually the visualization, wiggly lines notwithstanding, because it really does, it validates that the car is in fact capable of seeing damn near everything. It is seeing pretty much everything. Sure, it's sometimes, hey, don't, geez, when a guy looks over his shoulder like, oh, he is crossing, you see? See, so that's actually one of the things that there's no system yet capable of doing, which is this innate intuition, right? So when that guy kind of paused for a moment, kind of looked over his other shoulder, instinctively, I knew he was about to try to cross the street. And so instinctively, my foot suddenly sort of, flexed, like the muscles of my feet flexed to slam on the brake if necessary, because I thought he was going to dart in front of the car potentially. Yes, I've seen countless pedestrians do that, obviously, we all have. But in any event, the car didn't even hesitate. It didn't even think to slow down in anticipation of the body language of that pedestrian. And that's the fundamental problem. That's the thing that's so desperately lacking any sort of, I'm just going to use the generic term, computerized system. How do you train a car to understand the semantics, the body language of humans? Now, I know there have been a few companies in the last couple of years working on this. I'm drawing a blank now on one or two of the names that I've read about. Indeed, some of which I'm pretty sure I've podcasted about at some point in the last couple of years. And that's great, that's I say that's great. It's essential. It is absolutely critically essential that any even semi-autonomous driving system, never mind a fully autonomous system, a level 4 and above, and even level 3, I would say, it's essential that it have the ability to semantically understand what's happening in the world around, including and especially with respect to pedestrians. Oh, by the way, this is a really wild intersection. I don't know if you saw this yesterday, but check this out. Wait. What are you doing? What are you doing? That's pretty... Whew. I mean, that is a really unnerving intersection there. I don't like that at all. I would have stayed a bit further to the right. Had the car gone even a millimeter closer, I would have ripped it away. Anyway, yeah, so semantics. That's what it's got to be able to do, and it just isn't. And the car had no idea how to get through that intersection either. So we'll record that one. I mean, it's just one thing after the other that's failed. What I was trying to say was that there was one really cool thing that happened actually yesterday in Boston, where there was a parked car, well, I should say a double parked car ahead. And I guess I was briefly looking at the display here and I hadn't noticed it. It was probably as far ahead as actually that SUV on the right, maybe even a bit further. The car actually, on its own accord, switched lanes to the left to go around it. That was actually pretty neat. That was pretty well done. Again, I have to reiterate just how thoroughly unnerving this is. Where are you? See, what was that about? Why did the car just suddenly dart to the right? I mean, it's these things that are happening just constantly. That's the problem. Okay, is it going to go in the left turn lane? Okay, yes it is. So that's pretty good right there. That's a first for me. I've never experienced moving into a left turn lane to make a protected left. Is it going to make this protected left? And the answer is that was actually pretty decent. That was pretty well done. I give that maybe a 7 out of 10. That was pretty decent. Now obviously we've got a poorly parked truck here. Is it going to go around? And indeed it is. Okay, also pretty well done. That was not bad. So the purpose of this particular test then is to see just how well the car is going to do in somewhat more typical road conditions with better marked signage, better marked lanes. And I have to say, it is definitely less bad than what I experienced the first two videos in Newburyport. This is true-ish. All right, so coming up ahead down here, it looks like we've got a very sharp left turn. I mean, it's essentially a, what is it, 140, 150 degree turn? I'm very curious how it's going to handle that.
Now turn left onto Upland Road.
Not to mention there's a car parked on the right here, which is preventing us from going super wide. And here we go. And well, holy shit. I am again, apart from the somewhat spasmodic behavior of the steering wheel, I'm fairly surprised there. Interestingly, these roads actually don't have any line markings. So whoop, where are you going? As I was saying. Again, a very, very cautious approach to the stop. Doesn't see the car coming. It does see it. I'm going to go because the car wasn't going. Car didn't realize that person had indicated to me with her hands, go ahead. So I've taken over in that situation.
Now turn right
Anyway, here comes an intersection for a reasonably busy street. Again, I'm almost certainly going to take over, not least of which because it looks like there isn't much visibility here on the left. See, I don't know why the car is stopping so far in advance. Creeping forward, it says, yeah, good. Are you going to go? Are you going to go? Are you freaking going? Okay, I'm going to go because it's not going. See, if it had waited any longer, it either would have had to wait yet again for that car or would have risked totally cutting it off. So either way, it was not a safe situation. Hence, I took over yet again. So basically what I'm concluding is as follows. And please make no mistake, I think that autopilot in its basic form is a fantastic bit of kit. It works better than any other ADAS on the market, I'm convinced, meaning it's fantastic for lane keep assist, for adaptive cruise control, and frankly, I use it for that stuff all the time. It works really, really well, except when it doesn't. But generally speaking, it really does work really, really well. As I go on now, the third day of testing this new autopilot full self-driving beta, I'm arriving at somewhat similar conclusions, I guess, which is to say, on type of roads like this, with nothing particularly complex going on, yeah, it works fine. It works like plain old autopilot, really. Nothing to it. But as soon as you have things occur which get a bit confusing, okay, it did a good job seeing that stoplight up ahead as it turned yellow in preparation for red, so that was pretty decent. As soon as you get ready for doing anything remotely complex, certainly turning onto other streets, complex intersections, anything involving even the slightest hint of anticipation. What we discussed the other day, I believe, was the sort of, there's a complete lack of body language or semantics, you could say, for what a pedestrian's going to do. So if it kind of pauses for a moment, looks over, their head, we humans sort of anticipate that as, oh, maybe they're about to cross the street. Obviously, the car doesn't take that leap of reasoning, that leap of anticipation. Speaking of anticipation, as I also mentioned the other day, I guess, it really doesn't even come close yet to anticipating the road, anticipating the geometry of the road. It has no sense whatsoever of being able to kind of smooth out the turns and have a sense for what's coming. And by the way, just to be clear, because I think a lot of people are going to fault me for saying otherwise, I'm actually not expecting the car to do those things. Okay, I'm not. I do not expect the car to do those things. Rather, what I'm saying is, give me a sec. I don't know why it's not going, and I'm taking over. That is a beautiful classic Rolls Royce, by the way. See, yet again an example of where I had to take over. I mean, by far and away, more times than not, I have to take over, either to fully cancel the system altogether, or at least give it a burst of acceleration. It's so far from being even moderately useful in real life that, and this is why I just keep coming back to the same conclusion as the last couple of test drives, which is that it shouldn't be in public beta at all right now. Because again, I'm being extremely risk averse. In fact, I'm sure a lot of folks out there are saying, oh, you're the wrong person to be testing this because implicitly you're too risk averse. You're not the right sort of person to be testing. But that's got it completely ass backwards. The whole point is precisely that if it's so dangerous, it shouldn't be. Okay, what the was that? Yeah, see, okay. No good at all. As I tweeted the other day, make no mistake, this isn't just like a few evolutionary iterations away from usable for public testing. Okay, I'm taking over again. It's like multiple revolutionary step changes away. I mean, this is... Look, again, I am a tech geek through and through. I have a heavily math and science academic background. I desperately want autopilot to work, full self-driving beta, that is. I desperately want a fully autonomous vehicle future. I love the notion that our newborn will hopefully never need to get his driver's license, except perhaps for fun, for weekend track days, like I've done in the past. And certainly just to have the skill generally. Of course I do. And also, and by the way, and also again, as a reminder, being a very long Tesla shareholder, these are actually all reasons why I'm so, frankly, pissed off that Elon has gone ahead and allowed this to be released to the public, because this risks completely undermining and setting backwards, massively setting back the entire everything that Tesla is fighting for. And, it actually risks harming Tesla itself. I mean, all that needs to happen is NHTSA steps in and says, that's it, you're done, you're not doing it, plug is pulled. I mean, this is a really bad way to go. Much better off would be for Tesla, for Elon himself to say, no, it's, okay, stop, see that twitching again, it's just terrible. Much better would be for Elon to just step in and be like, look, no, it's not ready for prime time, let's pull it back off the streets again, and call it a day. That would be a lot better than NHTSA doing that, for instance. And that's where my concern is. That's why I'm so adamant that this get pulled now, precisely because I care about Tesla and because I care about their mission and what they're trying to do. That's why I'm so opposed to this. Okay, this is interesting. See, why did I have to brake? I should say, if I knew there was a cop behind me, I just took over. If I knew there was a cop behind me, there's no way in hell I would allow autopilot to remain on. I mean, I would get pulled over within minutes, for sure. See, okay, I took over. Look, here's the problem. The car is still just totally reactive instead of proactive. It's just like it's hacking random kind of things together to decide what to do, and it has no, as I've said before, it has no understanding of what's actually happening around it. It's just reacting in a very non-proactive sense, honestly. And the car still doesn't know what to do there. So again, I took over. So
Now turn right onto Broad Street.
That's a particularly challenging sort of, well, I say challenging. It's a particularly atypical sort of intersection, not really an intersection, and it's just as confused now as it ever was before. Nope. 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 What the hell was that? All right, let's engage autopilot. I want to see if it detects the speed humps now, because that's what I've read. And the answer is nope. The answer is no. It does not detect speed bumps, at least not this sort. We'll try again. The answer is no.
Turn left onto
Okay,
Main Street.
that's not encouraging. I have to say, first impressions of 10.4, I'm not...
Now turn left.
I really hate
onto
saying
Main
this,
Street.
but I'm really not getting anything substantially better. I'm not getting any... I was going to say I'm not getting any step change improvement. I'm not even really getting any evolutionary improvement. It's just kind of just more of the same. Man, I'm really bummed out, actually. All right, let's see how this intersection goes. Again, way too abrupt of a stop there. Yeah, I guess I'm sort of looking for the, okay, what the hell was that? Why? Why did it stop in the middle of the damn intersection? Okay, don't know why it's braking so much there again. Here we go. There's no cars behind me, which is okay. It's not going. Come on. There we go. I gave it a bit of a... Yeah, I'm taking over. This is just not freaking working. And again, I'm going to say what I've said all along. It's possible it may have eventually worked. It's possible. Although even if it did, it would be quite uncertain, quite haphazard. It's possible it might have worked. It's also vastly more probable that it would not have worked. Either way, it would have required me to be, indisputably reckless to try it. Because again, if you're going to allow it to get to that point, you're already being dangerous. You're already... being reckless, actually. You are intentionally doing a thing that you know to be dangerous, which, by any slice of the law, that is unlawful behavior. I mean, there's no two ways about it. This is not rocket science, folks. There's a thought that kept coming to my mind a bit, and I realized I neglected to mention it on the podcast that I just published the other day, and I... hadn't yet mentioned it in other videos. What this reminds me of is, to use a somewhat bizarre analogy, it's sort of like the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. If you remember way back even to high school physics days when you probably first learned about this, it's that maddeningly frustrating thing which effectively disallows any hope of a future of beam me up Scotty. Yeah, it basically means that transporters are essentially impossible. We know this because if you go through the Star Trek technical manual, as I have of course, there is actually a device called, wait for it, the Heisenberg compensator. This is what enables a transporter to work. Anyway, enough about that. The point is, the Heisenberg uncertainty principle says you cannot know with arbitrary precision both the velocity of a particle and its position. Why? Because, well, if you start to study it with ever greater accuracy and with greater magnification, say, the sheer act of observing a thing the additional photons striking that thing from your observation of it, that's going to change its velocity and its precision and so on and so forth. That's a pretty hacked way to say, is it going to go around this car okay? Yeah, it went around the car pretty well there, I have to say. That was not bad. Anyway, so you can't know both the precision and the the position, the velocity of a thing. Okay, here, it's sort of like either you're going to be safe or it's going to test some driving maneuver. It cannot be the same that it's both. It cannot both be the case that you're being safe, that you're not being reckless, and that it's going to test sufficiently pushing the envelope. You just can't do them at the same time. You cannot do them concurrently. So that's the problem. Yeah, it took me way too long to explain that analogy, but yeah, there you have it. So my general feeling that I've said all along is really still totally unchanged. Extremely disconcerting, extremely nerve-wracking, extremely confidence lacking, about as far removed as possible from confidence inspiring. This is just not pleasant. I mean, like I said, it's got a few moments where it'll do reasonably well, like going around those tighter bits of road there with cars parked on the side or around a double parked car. It'll have moments where it's okay. And actually yesterday, my wife and I were driving, we tested a pretty tight 90-degree intersection turn, and actually did really quite fine, no complaints. There were no other cars around, I should say, so it could be that I was less concerned, I guess. But in any event, that was okay. So there are moments where it's okay, and indeed borders on eliciting a, oh wow, that was pretty good sort of reaction. But in general, yeah, long way to go. Long, long, long way to go. I mean, for an eventual version 11 to be a marked improvement, I mean, it's going to have to really blow me away. It's going to have to be profoundly. Why are you braking? See, that could have caused an accident if the car behind me was closer. What the actual, dude, this is not cool. Why? I mean, I thought we were long since past the so-called phantom braking stages, which admittedly autopilot really doesn't actually do that much anymore, so that's good.
Now turn right onto Federal Street.
Okay, why'd you brake so much? See, I can't do this. I can't even test it. As I recall, this intersection is pretty blind. There's a runner, foot's over the brake as always. Okay, good. And the runner came around me, interesting, okay. So kind of creeping up to the intersection, which is, okay, let's go. Creeping. Good, there's no cars. Let's see how you do it. There's no cars, let's go. Okay, so that's probably the first and only best geometric execution of a right-hand turn that I've got on video so far in this, now the 4th day of testing, at least, yeah, with video. Now, I should say there was no traffic, and it was way too slow and way too dawdly. Hey, so this is a really interesting intersection. I don't know how the car knows that lane goes left and that this lane goes straight. That's pretty impressive, because unless I missed something, every single time I drive there, I don't see any signage on the side of the road. I should stop for this pedestrian, which the car didn't do. Only in America do pedestrians walk right out in front of big moving things at the last possible second. Nowhere else in the world. As I probably mentioned in previous videos, I recognize that this is a very atypical sort of street network. It's not your typical kind of urban grid of streets. So on the one hand, this is vastly more challenging than your typical grid layout. On the other hand, this is vastly less complex from sheer density of stuff going on. Cars, pedestrians, etc. Double parked cars, loading trucks here and there, most of which tend to be double parked in places like San Francisco. So in that respect, it's vastly less challenging. You know, seeing the relative ease with which this thing does actually go around double parked cars, I suspect therefore, and I think I hinted as much previously, that sort of maneuver is, yeah, relatively less challenging. So I think the greater challenge on these sorts of streets is indeed the sort of atypical layout, the complexity of knowing kind of what to do, when, where, how, and so on. It's just not typical, and I would imagine there's vastly less training data for this sort of road layout. Which, okay, it makes sense, but again, this is not the safe way to go about doing the training. That's the problem. That's the issue that I have, and I say I have really everybody whom I respect in the AV community, in the AV industry as a whole generally, is very put off by this. Hopefully this guy is not planning on it. Anyway. All right, so this intersection is totally wild. Let's see how this goes. I mean, this is just an awful intersection. I'm very ready to take over. And wow. Okay, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. Good. That was not awful. All right, pretty pleased. Again, one of those, what I was trying to explain previously was, you know, one of the issues in video that doesn't come through is it's not as obvious in video as it is obviously in the car. And so I don't even know if you could see, but there was a lot of little sort of tugging, little adjustments going on the steering wheel, which was, are you going to go through this light or not? Interesting. Interesting. So it went through that yellow. That was a pretty late yellow. I'm not sure if that was good or bad. I wonder what it would have done if there had been a car behind me, and if it was a later yellow, if it decided, you know, would it decide to speed up quickly or slam on the brakes, risking a rear end collision? I don't know. Again, the visualizations are truly fantastic, I have to say. It is, I mean, this is actually the one confidence-inspiring thing of FSD beta. Whoop. So, okay, I have a couple thoughts on what just happened there. Just taking over to get back on. Yeah, a couple thoughts on what just happened there. On the one hand, I was pretty pleased. It seemed to me like the car was slowing down a little bit preemptively, defensively, in case that guy was to sort of dart across. I am indicating a manual lane change, by the way. Nicely done. Okay, that was pretty good. But that was a bit of an overreaction there. It didn't need to slam on the brakes that hard. The initial slowdown was good. Slamming on the brakes, unnecessary. I don't know what happened there or why. The transition from red light to green light, from slowing down to picking up speed and going, that's really quite good, actually. All right, well, that's a wrap for this particular test. The rest is basically just, you know, straight road. So I'm going to stop the video now. All right, well, that is a wrap for today. Thank you so much for listening, or I should say thank you so much for watching. As always, if you have any questions or want to reach out to me, get in touch, you can do so through Twitter at AutonomousHogue and all other social media, and of course on LinkedIn. Thanks very much indeed. Take care. Till next time. Bye-bye.